So the three things I will talk about for this photo are vantage point, time, and color and tone. Let's start with vantage point. So vantage point, the angle of this view of this photographer of where they are shooting the image, it seems the subject point of the view is shown at the middle level. Possibly they are stopped sitting on or standing on a trolley or a train to capture the photograph, showing it to be around them standing maybe right here or sitting right here. The perspective is to be giving the depth of field to the linear perspective of the scale of objects and details diminished from the foreground to the background of the frame. This gives a sense of depth of tone and shape to scale of overlapping the objects, such as the huge rock formation on the right, which is right here, and the mountains to the left with the river and stream of the outline to the rock formation. The photographer is seen to be located in the middle of this vantage point where the railroad tracks continue on, showing it right here where it seems to be continuing on to wherever it goes to. The vantage point does affect the relationship of the elements in the photograph by the way it shows less of the rock formation shown right here. It looks to be they didn't capture the full thing and they only wanted a center on a certain part of right here. And that it shows also less of the mountains and railroad tracks to give it more of a feel of conception to being wanting to go further and finding out what's beyond the rock formation. Next is time. So in time, since there seems to be railroad tracks in the photograph, the train or trolley that the photographer is on, it seems to be moving a little bit, giving the action is mostly frozen to give you full detail of all the objects around it. And that is also blur motion in the left corner in the bottom part of the photograph where there's stream water, which is right here, which seems to be blurred if you zoom in. It seems to be fuzzy and blurry at the same time, but it's more clear over here than it is over here. And the same thing happens on the right side of the page where this part right here seems to be very fuzzy and then it's more detailed when you look at it right here. Next is the blurred motion and frozen action affects the visual organization of the items in the picture because we don't see the full image of the stream and rock formation that seems to be blurred of the corners of the photograph like I described before that are on this part of it and then the corner right here. Also, the frozen action for the mountains and the rock formation on the right and left corner of the are cropped framed of the blur objects, giving it an understanding of it's wanting to focus only on this portion of the pictures. Last but not least is color and tone, which is used to describe the objects shown in the image are given a lot of color, and also the tone, which is the foreground on the right side of the background of it, which is all right here, which shows it being very detailed and colored and tone of it. Where the color and tone is showed more in the railroad tracks and bushes, also of the rock formation shown, gives it a great amount of detail on the right side of the photograph. That the color and tone is also to direct the eye towards this area of the image, then faded the shadow formation of the mountains on the left side of the beauty of the height of the nature, showing this being more detailed and descriptive than it is over here where it's more fuzzy and hazy looking than it is to like these sections where it's more detailed and colored. It also implies a mood of things such as peaceful, mellow scene of off to the middle of a beautiful nature of man-made objects such as this rock formation right here. And it also gives a psychological tension of a dream of happiness and traveling onto the great beyond, leaving of any troubles to move on, showing this great distance right here of where it would lead to next. The overall tonal range is seen to be a mixture of dark to light, but also high contrast in the right part of the picture, showing that this mountain seems to be very high contrast in color and depth of the field of it being. Also, it seems to be the wide and narrow tonal range from the mountains to the rock formation into the photograph, with it being a low key of the surroundings of nature and water and the foreground and background, giving it from high color over here all the way to low and light color over to the mountains over here.